Recording is on.
Cool. So this is a fourth Bitcoin design crit call. Today we're going to be looking at Robosats, which is, I'll actually get their website up really quick so I can get their proper kind of hashtag. So it's a simple and private way to exchange Bitcoin for national currencies. More specifically, it uses Lightning natively. Its angle is really focused around privacy. You can only access it through Tor, for example, and anonymous kind of trades, which is a bit of a red herring to me because I feel like anonymous when you're dealing with fiat currencies is a little bit hard. But yeah, so we've got Pedro and Christoph. We're going to be looking at the landing page for Robosats. It's a pretty simple app. You'll see it a bit more when I get it up on the Figma when I share my screen. But just going to be looking at the landing page when you first kind of arrive on the app and just kind of focusing on that and not really going into any deep sections of the app. I felt like that was the main area that really could have used some work that would improve the experience quite drastically. Like the exchange part of the app is reasonably straightforward. I don't think there was a whole lot of issues there. It was pretty much a similar interface as a lot of other exchanges. There's a little different quirks with like escrow and stuff like that, but in a general kind of UI sense, it made sense to me kind of intuitively. But yeah, it was landing on the homepage that kind of really confused me, and I wasn't really sure, and I felt like there was a lot of room for error, and I had to kind of prod around for a little bit. So yeah, I guess we'll jump into it. I'll get my screen sharing.
I saw just a little bit of an intro, or for myself to make sure that I understand how it works. So I watched that BTC Sessions video about Robosats. It's pretty good. Talked through everything. So it's my understanding is that it basically brings two people together. One person wants to exchange Lightning to fiat, and the other person wants to do the opposite. Right? So one person makes an offer, say, I have either fiat or Lightning to offer, or Sats via Lightning. And the other person says, well, I want to, take one of these offers. I want to do the opposite. And then it matches them in some privacy preserving way. And then the Lightning, the Satoshi actually gets locked up in a way. There's a bond or escrow, whatever it's called. And then the two people negotiate amongst themselves, like some person, because the fiat exchange has to happen via, I don't know, Venmo or exchange of some Amazon gift card or something. And then they kind of figure that out. Once they both agree that the deal's done, then it's basically considered a done deal. And if it doesn't work out, there's a way to dispute and resolve the issue. Right? Is that a good characterization of how the service works?
Yeah, I'd say that's pretty accurate. Yeah. So in a lot of ways similar to, I guess, HODL, local Bitcoins, and those more peer-to-peer BISC as well, which Pedro in the call here does some work with. So it's similar in that sense, but yeah, there's those slight quirks. It's Lightning only, temporary accounts, stuff like that.
Yeah, I just want to make sure because when people hear exchange, they might think of Binance or something like that, some entity or so. But this is really just kind of a matchmaking service in a way between two people.
Yeah, it's pretty similar to like a what would you call it? Like what do they refer to websites like Craigslist and stuff like that? Like people post
local Bitcoins, maybe.
Yeah, like what do they call them? Backpage. I forgot what the term is for it. But yeah, like the backpage ads.
Posting board or something.
Yeah. It's got the proper name for it. But yeah, can you guys see my screen? I'm not sure if Jitsy's focused on my camera because for some reason my camera's showing as well as my screen, which usually doesn't do that.
I see your screen. I was wondering, this is the landing page of the application. This is not a landing page of the service, right?
Yeah, so it's the application, not the service. So
okay.
Should have specified that. But yeah, so the landing page of the application. So you go on the website and there's a quick start guide and they give you a Tor link and then you have to go into Tor browser and paste the link into Tor browser and then it opens up this page. And this is the very first thing you see when you land on it. There's nothing else that happens with the app outside of this. But can you guys see that all good? Like, is it large enough? I know my screen's quite big, so it always kind of stretches on the camera. But But yeah, so this is kind of the first thing you see when you land in. So going from the top down, obviously got like dark mode. There is a little educational thing, which is has some guides and some videos to some people who have done them. I know you said you watched the Bitcoin sessions video. That's the same one I watched to kind of do my tutorial. So probably have pretty similar knowledge as you, Christoph. But yeah, you got that at the top there, and then you land on this page here. And like initially, like when I first went into this, I just went into it blind before watching a tutorial. I watched the tutorials after using the app because I thought it would be better to think things through from a, I guess, end user's perspective without having any prior context. So the first thing you see is you land on here, you have this tag, you got a little robot name, and then there's all this kind of quite esoteric information like store your token safely, which is this. Like there's no information as to where that token came from or what it is. You can also regenerate or copy and download this token. Don't know why I would take those actions as an end user. Like there wasn't really any indication that I should do that, or if I should make a new one, or it just wasn't really clear exactly what this token was, what this robot was, what that name was. Is this token a representation of that name, which I'm pretty sure it is, but like it was just all very kind of unclear as to kind of what was going on. And then straight away, there's like these kind of call to actions like make order, view book, which I feel like wasn't really standard terminology for like kind of websites like this, like local Bitcoins and stuff. I'm not too sure what terminology they use. I should have probably took a screenshot of what they do, but I wasn't exactly sure looking at these buttons exactly what I'll do. Like make order kind of sounds like you're like buying something, which I wasn't exactly super clear on. But what that button does is you go in and you can make a ad or pretty much post an advertisement, which it looks like an exchange, but like Christoph was saying, it's more like you're posting an ad to either buy or sell Bitcoin for fiat currency, whichever method you use. And then view books, just viewing everyone's ads. So maybe first bit of feedback related to, while I'm on the topic of these call to actions, maybe the going on the angle of being more of like a ad kind of based service rather than saying it's like an exchange and it has an order book and those kinds of things would make a bit more sense. Like similar to how local Bitcoins on their website, you post advertisements, you don't post trades. It's not like an exchange, even though kind of you are like being a bit, the application is like a market maker. You are getting a buyer and a seller and you're pairing them up, but it's quite manual. So it's more like a Craigslist local Bitcoin type thing. So that's my kind of first bit of feedback on that is, maybe focus more on the being a more advertisement-based service rather than angling in on the exchange stuff. I thought the logo didn't really need to be here. You could probably put that up in the top left just to keep this area a little bit less visually cluttered. Keep more focus on the more primary pieces of information. And then going down to the bottom, so obviously you got your account, which like I kind of presume that was your account, which kind of made me click this and this together because obviously they're the same thing. So I was like, okay, this must be my account. Wasn't really sure exactly at this stage, like what that kind of meant. Obviously I didn't create anything manually. There was no action by me to create this account. It was automatically created when I landed on the landing page, which I found to be a bit confusing. It would be good to make it a little bit more explicit and maybe have the user manually make the account and have some kind of very basic walkthrough where you'd be like, okay, cool, like you're on the landing page. Step one is generate an account, and they just like click a button and they generate the code. And then it makes it clear that that code is their account and they need to back it up. And then you can also have some prompts and stuff like that and say like, this is your unique code. You need to have access to this to access your account. It's the only way you can access. I have a good example from another website that I've pasted in that I can go through to explain that a bit more clearly. But just making that more clear that it is your account definitely needs to be done. So yeah, you got your account. And then you've got all the kind of exchange or advertisements offered. Similar to what I said before, I think it would be better to like call these like listings or something like that, like a buy offers or sell offers, like instead of going with that real exchange terminology, just kind of confuse things, and the user experience is quite different from an exchange, even though the same goal is being achieved, like if someone's buying Bitcoin and someone's selling, it is quite a different surface. So maybe just really trying to rethink some of this terminology and how you kind of convey these things. Local Bitcoins and Hodl Hodl and Paxful are good examples of websites that do a reasonably good job of this. So yeah, you go to daily active trades. the premium, stuff like that. It's all pretty standard information. I did find like this bar was a little bit compact and it was a bit hard to read. It was kind of condensed at the bottom of the page. I wasn't actually really too sure if this information was super, all of it, maybe some of it wasn't all super relevant to be shown when you first land on the page. Could be conveyed in a different way, or ideally, like I would probably just like revamp this whole page and like you land on it. It has like the whole order book listed. Maybe you have like the account section at the top, and then it's just kind of, that's the kind of page you're on. And the landing should walk through like a little bit of a setup wizard and explain how kind of the quirks of the app. Because there was one thing which I did note is even if you close this browser and you don't save this code, you lose access to your account. So if you've got a trade up, you make a trade with this code, you close that browser and you didn't back it up, you won't be able to get back in and access that trade, which may not be the worst because you might already have contact with the user and might be able to kind of execute it that way. But you do have to put an escrow up, like Christoph said, so there's potential to lose that escrow quite easily. And there's really no importance emphasized here that this code needs to be backed up. I actually hadn't made a trade, so I wasn't exactly sure if that was emphasized at that stage, but it definitely should be. Like if you do make a trade, it should really emphasize to the user, like, hey, like, you know, you've got money in escrow now, you should have your code backed up, otherwise you will lose it. Another thing as well, it's not just closing the browser, it's also if you refresh the browser. So that's what I did here. I refreshed, I got a new robot, and I got a new token. So that to me was a little bit scary, kind of like I could accidentally just, I've got a habit of just refreshing pages, so like I just kind of refresh things just to kind of see what happens. But yeah, like someone, I could see someone very accidentally having a trade up or something and then just clicking the refresh page and it wipes their account, which would kind of suck. But I presume that's got something to do with not storing like persistent data within Tor. Like we said earlier, it's Robosats is very privacy focused, so I presume it's for that reason. But just something to keep in mind. I think that's definitely a user error that's potential with this kind of thing. Before I go look at the example for the onboarding kind of wizard or first use wizard that I'm referring to, you guys have any comments, Christoph or Sanjay or Pedro?
I agree with everything you said.
Yeah, I think you covered it really well there.
Yeah, I just wanted to plus one the comment on maybe showcasing more the fact that there are offers to buy and offers to sell on the site. Like that to me makes this place alive and not empty. Like there's actually activity here. Right now, there are live offers to buy and live offers to sell, but that seems tucked away at the bottom as opposed to being showcased. Yeah. And then also just thinking out loud, like maybe the further the user gets into actually placing or trying to execute a trade, the more you ask them, are you sure you copied down the token? And maybe before they get to some critical point, even ask them to re-enter the token. We see this on a lot of wallets. They say enter word number 13 of your seed, just to make sure that I like that you don't do that up front, right? Why bog down the user before they've even gotten decided to do anything? But maybe the closer they get to like this critical moment where they better not lose their token because they're just about to put funds into escrow, maybe at that point you can come in and ask them whether they've really copied it and make sure that they have.
Yeah, they're all good points. Like I definitely think they should emphasize like the core function of the site, and that should be what you really land on after some kind of setup wizard, rather than just landing on this. And completely agree, like maybe some extra authentication, like before you fund the escrow, for example, like you could have them enter the token. That would be a good stage to say like enter your token to enable the escrow address to be shown so you can pay the escrow. That'd be a good stage to do that. I think outside of that, wouldn't be much else.
Just so I'm understanding it correctly, afternoon abode is the random name the system has assigned to the current user who's looking at the page, correct?
Yep. Yeah. So this is my account that I just had on when I went on tour, and if you refresh the page, it'll give me a new one. So
like
this
you
is
saw on the right, yeah.
Yeah.
So I wonder if just prepending hello, comma, might make that clearer, so that it's a little bit clearer that this is you. The system is saying hello, avid seedbed. Just that little hello might make it clearer that, okay, I as the user am avid seedbed.
Yeah, that's a good point too. Having some personalization, like if you had like you landed and you had like the exchange kind of like in this area here, and you had like your account and it had like some text next to it saying, yeah, hello, avid seedbed, and it would make it really clear that you're that robot.
Exactly. Just that hello greeting makes it clear that you're that robot and you're being greeted.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, I think the robot looks really nice, but it draws a ton of attention to it. And I don't even know what I'm supposed to do with this little robot, right? It only comes later once I actually want to interact with someone.
Yeah, it's a bit of a, it does drag all your attention to it, and it's not super clear exactly.
And usually, I think these robo profiles, they're usually used to establish some kind of identity visually. But because if you lose the hash for the token, you have to set up a new account. Do you know, is there any reputation on this? For more trades you make, the more reputation you earn?
I don't think there is any reputation. I think it's supposed to be one account per trade. You don't have to use it like that, but that's the kind of general angle they're going for. It's just like disposable accounts that you kind of use.
So I think that kind of almost defeats the purpose of using these. I mean, I know it's probably related to the branding, Robo Hash. It's the Robo automatic images, but usually this is used to establish a visual identity. But if it's always generating new ones, it's almost not useful that much.
Yeah,
it would be amazing if I could be trading with you systematically every week, and I would recognize you not necessarily for the afternoon Abode 908, but by the gray robot with a green background. And also, just another thing, I think sometimes I've heard that these low liquidity startup exchanges, usually I think it's also a good idea to hide the order book a little bit to kind of prompt the user to make orders. Otherwise, they dry up the order book really fast. But I also was a little annoyed that I wasn't able to see a full order book when I landed on the page, because that's usually what you expect to when you go into a market. You expect to see the offers before, and then you make an offer if you don't see what you want.
Yeah, completely agree.
I mean, my comment was premised on there being orders on buy and sell in the book already, as the mock shows. It's kind of like looking into a restaurant and seeing nobody sitting there, and then like you don't want that to be advertised. But I'm saying you've got folks in your restaurant, right? You've got 7 buys and 13 sells. So why not open the windows and show that off a bit to entice me to walk in?
Yeah, really good points. There's also I also found it quite interesting that this button here, when you click that, it gives you a new robot. I felt like that action was a little bit too easy to take, especially considering like it's pretty much essentially making you a new account. It would be good, like whether this button was maybe hidden a little bit, and when it was clicked, it told the user like, hey, like this is going to create a new account for you. Are you sure you want to do this action? Because it's potentially destructive, so there should be an extra step involved in that. That was another point.
Yeah, I actually was going to ask what that is. It's only now making sense that that's a die. Is that right?
Yeah, it's a dice. So yeah, it's like
rolling.
rolls.
Yeah, I mean, it uh, a refresh icon might have made more sense to me, but that's very subjective. But it does make me wonder as a user, why would I do that? Why is that there? Like when you look at a CAPTCHA, sometimes they have, give me another CAPTCHA because the CAPTCHA is just too difficult and even a human can't solve it. So you're like, just give me another one that's slightly easier, right? But here, and so it makes sense on a CAPTCHA why I would ever want to refresh one. But here, it's not clear to me why would I ever want to refresh it. Is there something wrong with this? Should I ever and the fact that you're giving me that option just makes me nervous and confused. Now, when you refresh the page, you get a new one because you have to, and that's just how it works. But what is the answer there, by the way, Bosch? Like, why would the user ever why do you present this offer at all?
On this page, I'm not too sure. I could imagine it would be relevant if you've maybe just conducted a trade and then you're like, okay, well, I'm going to do another trade now. I want to get rid of this account. And you might want to make a new one just for more privacy, so you don't have that reputation tied to the other trade. But yeah, I guess the main reason, I'd presume people maybe just want a different looking robot. I don't like the look of that one. I'm going to make a new one.
It's a little strange because the die actually only gives you a new token, which makes me think that the token. So I'm curious because we're going through very similar process for BISC, but BISC has much more permanent accounts. So you're gonna be, unless you create a new account, the accounts are not as ephemeral. So you keep that avatar much longer. And just taking the idea from some people from the samurai team, some people like their robots so much that they actually took them to Twitter, and that became their kind of meme profile. But the die here only changes the token; it doesn't change the robot. And usually, the robot is supposed to be the robot generation image. In the past, I've known it to be a hash of the actual token. So the token, the identity, and the name are all tied. So if one changes, all of them change, which is not the case in RoboHash. So it's a little confusing.
Okay, I thought it did change the robot. I'm just going to refresh one now.
To change the robot, you actually have to generate robot.
What is that? What is the... Oh, I see.
Yes, they're separate actions to take. Yeah, I thought, I actually didn't click onto that actually. Yeah, so I thought the token was associated with the robot, but it's not, which is interesting. But yeah, so you got the generate robot, which just changed your identicon. But yeah, there's a whole lot of actions here. Like for such a small little screen, there's a whole lot of things you can do. Download, copy, generate new key, generate robot, make order, info, view book. Most of those actions aren't really that clear. I feel like the clearest is probably the copy. Don't know why you do that. There's no indication, but yeah, that's an interesting point there. So yeah, it doesn't tie to the key. I just played around with that. But for a bit of an example, I didn't do a redesign. So sometimes with these crits, I'll do like a small redesign. But I feel like this one, I probably would have spent ages and probably redesigned a whole landing page and onboarding wizard. So I didn't want to get too in depth on that because I try to keep these crits quite small. But I just found a website that has a similar kind of, I'm sure you guys might be familiar with like Mulvad. It's like a VPN. It's like they use token or like account-based numbers. You don't have to give them email or anything. You can pay with Bitcoins or private, but getting a bit off track there. But how you kind of go with them is you kind of go on the website, you land on a landing page that kind of gives a bit of info, and then you click my account. And if you don't have an account, it takes you to a page like this if you're not logged in. It says getting started with Mulvad. And there's just a very simple like onboarding wizard that has like a few steps that you take, and it says get an account number, and you generate an account number, like a nice big call to action, and that gives you an account number that's a unique string that is your like number that you need to back up. If you lose, you can't access your Mulvad account anymore. So very similar in a lot of ways to Robosats. So you could have this say, get your create account number, and then when you click this, it creates your token and also creates your robot. And then when you create them on Mulvad, it goes to a page like this. So this is after I click the create account number. This is my account number. It says I can copy. Has a little bit of text here saying don't lose this. This is your identifier. You need to use our service. No email, no username, just anonymity. So it gives a little bit of indication to say why that this is important. To be honest, you could probably add more information here, like and give a bit more emphasis, like how important this is. It's even a little bit more important in Mulvad, so I'm not too sure why they didn't emphasize it a bit more. But you could also, at this stage, if you were doing this at Robosats, you would show the robot and you could explain what the robot is and explain the key. And like we were just discussing then, you should explain the distinction that they're two different things, because I presume there'll be people who think they're the same thing.
Sorry, I tested again, and I actually think they're the same thing. So you actually, if you save the hash, the token, that's the identifier that's going to generate a robot. So if you save it and you click and generate more, if you then go back into your original code, it will generate the same robot.
Okay, that makes sense then. Okay, well, yeah, we'll disregard those comments I was making then. So you'd obviously show your key, show your robot, say that the key is tied to your robot, and maybe you want to give the option at this stage to say if you want a different robot, you can refresh, or like just have like a refresh icon and get a new key until you get a robot you like, and then you can go to the next step, which could be like go to the order book or go to the landing page, and then you'd go next, and it would go to like a proper landing page that shows the order book with all the orders, like we were saying before. So it shows that there's orders available, like on the marketplace for people to have. So you're not just on a kind of blank screen like this kind of setup. So that's my real main bit of recommendation is, yeah, just kind of guide people through like what is in this page with like an onboarding wizard and clearly explain what the steps are and how the robots are and what the key means. I know that might be a little bit of a, like you probably need to have people walk through that once, and maybe if they could have the option to just skip that onboarding if they've already been on Robosats before and they just want to quickly create a new account. But I think like, yeah, having a wizard would be very handy. And then after the wizard lands straight onto the order book. And then, yeah.
Does your flow have multiple steps like the Mulvad VPN? It seems like there's 4 steps there, but in yours, after you create a robot or after you copy that, do you jump right into the experience?
Yeah, so you would create your account, or this could be, create a robot. You click a button, you create your robot. It would say back your robot up, and that'd be step 2. And then step 3 would probably just be like, maybe you could prompt them to make an order if they want to jump into making an order straight away, or they can go view the order book, or probably an option between those two. So it'd be a 3 step. So you wouldn't be downloading an app or following a guide. But you could also have a section for follow your guide, like that 4 steps also pretty relevant to have, like if people are new to the site. But just having some kind of wizard, and you could have it as like the exchange is there as a landing page, but the wizard pops up as like a modal on the page. So people can just click out of the modal if they've already done the stuff before, and don't need to worry about that. But yeah,
there are a few things about the Mulvad one which I'd never seen before, which really resonate with me. Like for example, it's ever so slightly more verbose, but it really clarifies what's going on and what I, as the user, am supposed to do. Like get an account number. It can't get clearer than that in terms of what I need to do. And there's something very subtle about it requiring me to press a button. And if I'm actually on the website now, and they have this animation where the numbers go blippity bloop and sort of randomly land on one, which also clarifies to me like, okay, this is randomly generated versus just appearing on the website and it already being there. Like it sort of emphasizes that this was created just now out of thin air.
Yeah. And it also, Bosch, I think you're muted.
Yeah, sorry, I was saying, no, go ahead, Pedro.
I was just going to say that it also usually takes a couple of seconds because there's a little bit of a proof of work in these in the generation of these IDs. So that's also helpful to see. It is right. You're right that as soon as you land on Robosats, everything is done, and it's a little weird that you're not actively creating something for yourself.
You have to go to get started if you're looking for the flow.
Sorry, I actually damned my mic mute again then. Similar to Robosats, like I know they want to do the real anonymity stuff, but it would be cool if they did have like a my account or a login thing for people who did download their key and entered it. Because at the moment, if you want to say if you download your key and then you close the browser and you go back in, it will give you a new robot, but you just have to paste your old key into that field they have, which is just a weird kind of way to log in. Like, it would be cool to have like I got Mulvad here. I don't know if you guys can see that all right, but when you just click my account, it comes up with a box like this, and you just enter the account number. So you could have something like that in Robosats, and you click my account, and you just enter your key here and go log in, and that will log you into your robot that you want. I'm not sure if that's kind of aligns with how they want things, but it still is pretty private, and there will be cases where people like, for example, like I know with a lot of these peer-to-peer marketplaces, it actually take quite a long time for someone to accept your order or buy your order. So there is a high chance that people will close their browser and then they're going to open it again, and it's going to be a new robot, and it's going to be confusing for them, and they're going to have to paste their old robot in. So it would just be a little bit clearer to make that a little bit of an easier transition, like where they could just like kind of log in, and it's just a familiar kind of terminology. Even though like Robosats isn't storing an account, which they should probably emphasize that they're not like, they don't have a database with like account information. This is just a kind of UI thing to make it a little bit clearer as to what the user's doing. Would be something nice to do. But yeah, I'll just go through that flow. So what Sanjay was talking about. So like this is where you land on the page on Mulvad. You click on generate account number, and it generates and does that little random animation, which is what he's talking about, which is pretty cool. So yeah, it shows it's random and a little bit of work behind it that goes on, and obviously you can copy and stuff like that.
Just to note there, they don't provide, it appears, option to generate a new number.
Yeah, they don't. Yeah, you'd have to refresh the page, which I think wipes. Oh no, it saves it, but so on Robosats that would have reset it, and I've got this number now. But yeah, I like how they have like yeah, Mulvad was the main example I really popped into. So I'm going to be sharing this video with the Robosats guys. So that's a big point. I would, to all you guys, I'd go play around with Mulvad. I think they've got a lot of like a good UI for the type of account system that you guys are kind of going for. So there's a lot of good feedback there that I think you get from that. But
so did this expired 28th of July just show up, or was it always there?
That just showed up when I refreshed the page. That's because I haven't actually paid to this account. That's a bit of bad UX because I've never actually paid for anything, obviously, because I just made this account. So like nothing's expired. It's just hasn't been funded. So yeah, saying expired is probably not a good point.
Because I was just gonna ask. I wonder if Robosat supposes to saving that identity on a cookie, so the browser, but also because it's on Tor, I don't know how Tor handles cookies.
Yeah, I don't think it stores them at all. I think it depends on what securities. Yeah, I think you can disable it, but I think by default it doesn't store them.
Okay.
But yeah, that's pretty much it I wanted to go over. Do you guys have any other points that we want to talk about? We've been going for about 35 odd minutes now, but is there anything else we should kind of bring up, discuss? It's a pretty cool app.
So I just put on 2 more screenshots in the Figma file. And then I can put that in my background here as well. Let's see. So that's the order book, and to the right is the creating an order flow. So it seems like from the sentiment here would be to start people on the order book, and then once they get into this flow here, maybe then ask them to generate their identity, force them kind of to back it up, tell like, okay, I backed this up, tell them, next time you visit this website, you'll have to re-enter this, something like that, before they can actually place an order.
Yeah, you could even consider at the bottom or somewhere on the page, it saying, "Hey, want to get started? Want to trade? Create your own robot," and that create your own robot would be a button, and I think that would make it clear what my next step is.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely needs to be explicit. I think that's a real big point. Like whether it's for a wizard or some kind of other means, I think the creation of a robot needs to have definitely some more user action or input. But yeah, you could do it with the wizard, or you could do it like what Christoph just said, like and have the order book, and then the robot's created when you actually want to make the order, which also makes sense because then maybe you just land on the wizard and you don't actually want to make a robot. You just want to kind of check out the app. So you only create the robot in the context that you're actually going to make an ad, which is the only time you need a robot. But yeah, that's another good way to kind of go about it.
Interesting to see these different exchange rates. So
Yeah.
What's
go ahead.
what's the I want to buy, I want to sell? Because I haven't yet created my robot. If this is the landing page, right?
So this is actually kind of confusing. My initial assumption was I can press one or the other. If I press buy, then I see sell orders. If I press sell, then I see buy orders. But I can actually activate both. It's not either or. And so I say, hold on, let me. So when both are enabled and both are disabled, it's the same thing.
I see.
Yeah, you can enable them both. I found that toggle a little bit confusing initially as well when I went on the site.
Yeah, it's the same.
It should maybe be a radio boxes and add another option with all, so it's clear that you only have one option ever selected.
Or even just check boxes where neither selected will just empty it, but it does make it clear what's going on.
Yeah, the end use any is also not clear that this is currency selection. I mean, it becomes clear. You click a couple times and it's not a big deal. You can figure it out, right? It's just not initially obvious from just looking at it.
But I think there's existing patterns that, for this use case that if you just look around how other people do it, you could just pick the one that resonates most. But there's definitely established and well-known patterns for that kind of stuff at the top.
Yeah, I just pasted in the local Bitcoins image over to the left, Christoph, if you scroll over next to the Malvad stuff. That's what it looks like on local Bitcoins. Filter option, and then you go down, it has all the trades. Looks like they've done a redesign since I last checked it out. It's looking a lot cleaner.
Typical response time. Yeah, you have this whole reputation thing that Pedro asked about. Yeah, that'd be but I like the idea with the robots. I think this could be a fun thing to redesign. The local Bitcoins looks, let's say, a bit dry.
Yeah.
I think, picking up, I don't know, maybe you can pick colors of each robot image, use them somehow through the premium. You could color the premium. If it's really high, make it like slightly red or so. If it's really good premium, make it green. And I don't know. I think I like the icons in here. It's easier than reading text for the payment methods. Maybe local Bitcoins has to use words because there are so many payment methods across all the countries that it's just not recognizable. Where people in, I assume, many parts of the world will recognize Amazon. Cash App will probably only be a US market that recognizes it. I don't know. Is Revolut, is that UK? Yeah, there's some stuff people will just not recognize. I don't know what this little squiggle down here is in Switzerland.
Yeah, I don't know what that is either. But yeah, Yeah, I agree. Like, I think from a branding point of view, it would be cool to see them angle a bit more into the whole robot kind of theme. Like, even maybe have some other graphics like that aren't involved in the interactive parts, that just kind of have some robot-y type feel, like some cogwheel type stuff. Would be kind of cool to have that. Yeah, make it feel like fun, because the robots are cool. They're a little bit quirky and stuff, you know. I've always kind of liked them.
There we go.
But
I don't know.
yeah, no, I like that. I'm not too sure there's a whole lot else that you guys want to discuss. Like, there's nothing else. I can end the recording there, but I wouldn't mind coming back to this sometime soon and maybe actually doing a bit of a design proposal. I'll share this with the Robosats guys and see what they say, and like, more than happy to continue talking with them about stuff and giving them suggestions.
I would be really curious to see how this could be made into a responsive website. So, because this has the potential to become a very easy way to buy Bitcoin mobile. Because it's as long as you have a Tor browser in your phone, you can then have a very easy peer-to-peer Bitcoin exchange that you can use on your phone, which is somewhat rare, and a lot of people I know have been wanting to have something like that.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Cool. Well, yeah, I'll end the recording there. We can stay in the call and just chit chat, but fine, quit part of the call, I guess, pretty much over. I know we did go off base. We did kind of went a bit of on a tangent from what we were mostly going to focus on, but I think it was a pretty good discussion to chat about things. It's a very complicated, I always say complicated app, but there's just a lot of like little tidbits that I think could be tweaked quite a bit just to make it a little bit easier to kind of use. It's always like that, I found, with privacy focused apps, but there's always a lot of trade-offs you have to make on the experience front. But robot, yeah, I'll end the recording there.